Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Gabriela Gonzalez, tuning in. Today, my dear listeners, we will be going over the terrible yet rather interesting story of Lizzie Borden. Stay tuned. August 4th, 1892, at 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. Andrew Borden was found on the living room couch, limp and his skull bashed in with 11 whacks to the head, and his wife, Abby Borden, found upstairs in the guest bedroom, underneath the bed, with 19 whacks to the back of her head. To both of them, the force of the first blow would have killed them with no issue. But this person had a sort of resentment and anger to not only commit this crime, but continuously bash their skulls in even after the first fatal blow. After the bodies were found by their daughter, Lizzie Borden, the story of the murder spread like wildfire in the town of Fall River. Not a single soul did not know of the murder in the Bordens. 2 days after the murder, papers began reporting evidence that the 33-year-old Lizzie Borden might have had something to do with her parents' murder. Most significantly, Ellie Benance, a clerk at S.R. Smith's drugstore in Fall River, told police that Lizzie visited the store the day before the murder and attempted to purchase prussic acid, a deadly poison, and claiming that she would use it on a cloak to kill moths that had infested her closet. But later that evidence would be dismissed because they believed it had nothing to do with the murder, because it was the day prior to the murder, so it was swept under the rug. But even after sweeping that piece of evidence under the rug, Lizzie Borden was not let off the hook so easily. There was more claims and accusations made upon her. Lizzie never got along with her stepmother Abby. In fact, she downright hated her, despite how hard Abby tried to connect with Lizzie and her sister Emma. When Lizzie was at the age of 5, her mother died and was asked of her older sister Emma, who was 12 at the time, to watch over Lizzie until the very end. And even Lizzie stated that she sees Emma more as a mother than a sister. The police came to the conclusion that the murders must have been committed by someone within the Borden home, but were puzzled by the lack of blood anywhere except the bodies of the victims and their inability to uncover the obvious murder weapon. Increasingly, suspicion turned towards Lizzie, since her older sister Emma was out of the home during the time of the murders. Investigators found it odd that Lizzie knew so little of her mother's whereabouts after 9 a.m., when, according to Lizzie, she had gone upstairs to put shams on the pillows. They had also found unconvincing her story that during the 15 minutes in which Andrew Borden was murdered in the living room, Lizzie was out in the backyard barn looking for irons. For an upcoming fishing excursion, the barn loft where she had said she had looked revealed no footprints on the dusty floor, and the stifling heat in the loft seemed likely to discourage anyone from spending more than a few minutes searching for the equipment that would not be used for days. On August 22nd, Lizzie returned to the Fall River courtroom for her preliminary hearing, at the end of which Judge Josiah Balsdale pronounced her probably guilty and ordered her to face the grand jury and possible charges for the murder of her parents. In November, the grand jury met. After first refusing to issue the indictment, the jury reconvened and heard the new evidence from Alice Russell. Russell told the grand jurors that she had witnessed Lizzie Borden burning a blue dress in the kitchen fire, allegedly because it was covered in old paint, coupled with the earlier testimony from Bridget Sullivan that Lizzie was wearing a blue dress on the morning of the murders. The evidence was enough to convince the grand jurors to indict Lizzie for the murder of her parents. Even after all these accounts and witnesses standing against her, Lizzie still had one more trick up her sleeve: being a woman. In the days when Lizzie was alive, women were seen as delicate little flowers. So when the prosecutors dug up and brought out the skull of Lizzie Borden's father, Andrew Borden, to show to the jury how the hatchet roughly matches the way the skull was bashed in, Lizzie fainted. Nowadays, this wouldn't matter, but back in her day, this made perfect sense. And it goes hand in hand with her perfect reputation at the church where she taught Sunday school. So once she had done this, she had already won. The prosecution rests its case on June 14th. After one final defeat, the state tried to establish through medical experts druggists, Führers, and chemists the qualities, properties, and the uses of prussic acid. After listening to the state's foundational case, concluded that the evidence should be excluded. The jury deliberated an hour and a half before returning with its verdict. The clerk asked the foreman of the jury, "What's your verdict?" "Not guilty," the foreman replied simply. Lizzie let out a yell, sank into her chair, put her face in her hands, then let out a second cry of joy. She hid her face in her sister's arms and announced, "Now take me home. I want to go to the old place and go at once tonight." And like that, Lizzie had gotten away with murder. She played the innocent woman so well that people still to this day don't believe that she could have committed the murder of her father and her stepmother. But I don't believe that. I believe that she's just an extremely good actor who knew how to play her audience right into her trap. Well, my lovely listeners, I'm so glad you've joined me for this Deadly Woman of the Week, and please do join me again for the next week's Deadly Woman, where we will be discussing the killings of Jane Toppan. Bye bye, my dear listeners. This is your host, tuning out.